Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with some more Commander content. This time not so much Final Fantasy, we're doing another Commander. Today we're doing one that was requested down there in the comment section. Frija, Judge of Valor. If you guys do have a Commander you want covered, make sure you leave it down there in the comment section and like, comment, subscribe so you can stay tuned for it. But Frija, Judge of Valor is an Angel Cleric that's 2/4 for 5 mana, so its ability must be good. Flying, lifelink, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one in your hand, and the rest into your graveyard. So we have plenty of ways to get things out of our graveyard, things into our graveyard, and ways to cast second spells. Um, but that's just the general overview of the deck. Let's get into it card by card. Since we're going to be wanting to cast the second spell each turn, we're going to need mana. Let's use an Arcane Signet to do that. Bowls of Citadel, we don't always need mana to cast a spell, so let's just cast them for our life off the top of the deck, and then eventually sacrifice 10 of them in order to deal 10 damage to each opponent. Crucible of Worlds, this way when we do eventually mill our lands off the top of the deck, let's just play them out of the graveyard in order to make sure that we could use them again. Valor Stone for some additional mana. Lightning Grease in order to make sure that we could attack that turn we come down with that flying lifelink. A little bit of protection there for them, and just a cheap spell in order to make sure we can cast our second spell each turn. Orzhow's Signet for some mana, Soul Ring for some mana, Swiftfoot Boots for the same reason we run Lightning Grease in the set. And there's also just some creatures that we might want to attack the turn they come down. Talisman Hierarchy for some mana, and Wayfarer's Bauble, once again, 1 mana spell that's be easy to cast as our second spell for each turn. Onto the creatures, we have Alice, Lavouille. I can also partner it, but it doesn't work in this deck because it's not the same color identity. First strike, second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast, making it super easy to get to that second spell that we want each turn. Angel Despair, for 7 mana, flying Angel Despair enters battlefield, destroy target permanent. So this is gonna be one of the ones that we want to leave in the graveyard off of Frija's ability in order to make sure that we could get that back out of the graveyard with some abilities we'll get to later. Angel of Ruins, you can discard it for 2 in order to plane cycle, get a plane into our hand in order to, get that additional mana that we need, or you could let it go to the graveyard in order to revive it with something we'll get to later. Avacyn, Angel of Hope, Flying, Vigilance, Indestructible. Other permanents you control have Indestructible as well, allowing us to make sure that Frisia could stay around for quite some time, and also works out with these other Angel synergies that we're getting in the stack. Doom Necromancer. For 3 mana, you get to sacrifice Doom Necromancer for 1 mana to return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield, allowing us any of these angels that are the high cost out, would make it hard to cast a second spell each turn. So that's why, like I said, we're putting most of them into the graveyard, just to get them back onto the battlefield. Ameria Shepherd, another 7 mana spell, flying landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If that land is a plains, you may return to the battlefield instead. Most of our lands are going to be plains in order to make sure that we can keep on doing that with the onto the battlefield, because unless it's something like Doom Necromancer or Giada or one of our other ones, we tend not to want those ones in the graveyard too much. Eradicator Valkyrie, flying, lifelink, hexproof from planeswalkers. Pay 2 mana, sacrifice a creature. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. So, helps us with a little bit of removal. It's also an angel itself, allowing us some angel synergies that we got. Faniel Telophorol Ascion, 5 mana for whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, draw Surveil 1, allowing us to put the cards that we don't want to draw into our graveyard. And at the beginning of your end step, each opponent may sacrifice a non-token creature of their choice. Each opponent who doesn't loses 2 life for each instant sorcery in our graveyard, which could add up quite a bit, especially if they don't have something to sacrifice. That could be either what we're milling with Frisia, or just what we've been casting throughout the game. We have 34 instant sorceries in this deck total. Giada, Font of Hope, 2 mana, flying, vigilance. Each other angel you control enters with additional +1/+1 counter on it for each angel you already control. You add white mana, spend this mana, only cast an angel spell. A little bit of mana ramp helps out a whole bunch. It's only 2 mana, so it makes it easy to cast for a second spell each turn, and also buffs up our angels quite a bit. Karmic Guide, flying, protection from black, echo for 5. At the beginning of your upkeep, if this card you control, this came under your control since the beginning of your last upkeep, sacrifice it unless you pay the echo cost. But the main ability we want is when it enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this could be something that we just keep reviving and having it keep on getting removed in order to keep on reviving it, in order to keep bringing back our other stuff while we're at it. Liesa, for 5 mana, we have a 4/5 flying lifelink. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. Once again, a little bit of recursion there for our creatures, especially the ones that we want to sacrifice in order to bring back our other stuff. If a creature an opponent controls will die, exile instead. Then follow that, we have Lodo, Corrupt Sheriff, 2 mana, so it makes it easy to cast as one of our spells. Whenever a player casts their second spell each turn, which we want to be doing in order to get that mill off, you lose 1 life and create a treasure token, allowing us additional mana to cast our second spell. For next turn, of course. Lyra Dawnbringer, a little bit of a stat boost there for our angels, along with giving them all lifelink, along with having first strike, lifelink, and flying herself. Milliken, for some additional mana, along with a little bit of mill while we're at it. 2 mana, making it easy to cast as our second spell each turn, especially if we have Alice Levuye, we get it for free. Priest of the Felright, pay 3 life, sacrifice this, return a creature from our graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery, so could be removed quite easily. Can't do it the turn it comes down because it's a tap ability. But the recursion is quite nice in this deck. Ready a Dawnbringer. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Once again, we want to be recurring all these big creatures onto the battlefield. Sephiroth's Sky's Blade. You may pay white and tap 4 untapped creatures you control with flying rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Flying, lifelink, other creatures you control with flying have indestructible, which is most of our angels, so this is a big buff there for our angels. Solemn Simulacrum for a little bit of extra mana there, a little bit of draw power. Could run like Loyal Guardian or Falcon. I forgot what the Falcon's name is. Starnheim Aspirant, 3 mana, and your spells cost 2 less cast, allowing us to get our second spell a little bit easier there. And Sun Titan, in order to recur one of our, actually Sun Titan probably removed to put an extra land in here because we don't have that many 3 mana or lower things, but we do have quite a bit, so it does come in handy quite sometimes. Animate then, in order to revive a creature from our graveyard for only 2 mana. Ripples of Undeath, that's basically what it says, I'm not reading a whole paragraph. Ripples of Undeath, Sylvan Library, but, putting them into a graveyard rather than leaving them on top. Being your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards, then you may pay 1 mana and 3 life. You do put a card from among those cards into your hand. And then, we didn't put lands in this deck just because, I don't go through them anyway, so, figured what's need. Anguish Unmaking for a little bit of removal for only 3 mana. Cling to Dust is only 1 mana. Exile a target card from a graveyard. If it's a creature card, gain 3 life. Otherwise, draw a card. A little bit of draw power. 4 mana. Exile 5 cards from your graveyard to cast this card again. So it's super easy spell to cast for us. Can spell each turn, along with, making so our opponents can get what they want out of their graveyard. Corpse Charm, mill 3, making so we get what we want in our graveyard. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Cremate, exile target card from our graveyard, draw a card. We like messing with other people's graveyards with this deck. Oh wait, I just realized I am not scrolled over far enough. Sorry about that. In order to make sure we exile, if our opponent's also playing a recursion deck, let's stop them in their tracks. Dark Ritual for some additional mana there, making it easy to cast our second spell each turn to get Frija's ability off. Deadly Dispute, in order to get the card we want in our graveyard into our graveyard, along with getting a treasure token and drawing 2 cards. So we have more to cast there. Disenchant for a little bit of removal. Entomb, search the library for a card, put it into the graveyard, making so we get what we want in our graveyard and not in our hand. So we can make sure we cast the second spell while it's only costs 1. Ephemerate, 1 mana to bounce a spell. It's not the most useful, but it is 1 mana and it rebounds itself, so that does come in handy quite a bit. Fracture, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker, so we get a little bit of removal there. Generous Gift for some more removal. Mana Tide for a counterspell in white, where no one will ever see it coming. Pet Exile for a little bit of removal. And also, once again, these are all low cost in order to make sure we're able to cast 2 spells each turn. Shelter, target creature gains protection from color of your choice until end of turn, making it so we can swing in with our creatures along with a little bit of draw power there. Swords of Plowshare for some removal, and Village Rite for a little bit of draw power. Along with sacrificing a creature, we could just recur the next time. Austere Command for a board wipe. Buried Alive in order to put the creature cards we want into our graveyard rather than having to draw our 8 mana spell. Dam, destroy target creature or board wipe depending on what you need at the time. Dire Sight, Surveil 2, draw 2, lose 2 life, allowing us to, once again, we don't want certain cards in our hand. We don't want to be casting our 8 mana spells. We want to be putting them into graveyard to recur them. Speaking return target creature from the graveyard to the battlefield, we have Dread Return, which can also have flashback by sacrificing 3 creatures. Living Death, each player exiles all cards from the graveyard, sacrifices all creatures, and puts everything from exile onto the battlefield. Yeah, so, recur all our stuff on our graveyard while our opponent has nothing in their graveyard, and board wipe them while we're at it. Night's Whisper for a little bit of draw power there. Persist, return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, allowing us to a little bit more recursion there. Ransack the Lamp, look at top 3 of your card, top 3 of your library, sorry. Put one of them into your hand, rest into your graveyard. Once again, put what we want into the graveyard, what we want into our hand. Read the Bones for a little bit of draw power, along with, making sure we don't draw into the cards we don't want. Reanimate, in order to reanimate the spell that we want out of our graveyard and onto the battlefield. Resentful Revelation, look at the top 3 cards of your library, one into your hand, rest into your graveyard. Flashback for 7, I don't really use a flashback, but the first ability is really good there. Sign in Blood for a little bit of draw power. Stitch Together, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, allow us to get back our creatures that could revive our other creatures. Also, Threshold, instead, return a card to the battlefield if you know you got to that Threshold. 7 more cards in your graveyard, which isn't that hard to reach in this deck. Unburial Rites, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, or flashback it, which, really comes in handy with Sex since we'll be milling quite a bit. Victimize, sacrifice a creature, return 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. May as well, get our thing that's making everything indestructible back to the battlefield so that they're just like, oh, we finally removed it. No, you didn't. Vindicate, destroy target permanent for a little bit of removal there. But like I said, a lot of removal has a lot of ways to cast our second spell each turn, or some cheap artifacts which will help us get there super quickly as well. We're gonna make sure we get stuff into our graveyard in order to make sure we keep on reviving it. If you guys liked the video, make sure you like the video, and I hope you like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for next time. Hope you have a great rest of the day.